From dawn to dusk, the brutal daily life of a Spartan warrior in ancient Greece. Welcome, seekers of ancient wisdom, to the history uncovered. Before we march into the world of legendary warriors, take a moment to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss our journeys through time. Today, we unveil the complete daily experience of a Spartan warrior, from the first light of dawn until darkness blankets the ancient city of Lacedaemon. Stay with us until the very end, for each moment reveals secrets that history has guarded for millennia. First, the Crimson Dawn and morning rituals. The Spartan warrior's eyes opened before the sun crested the Taygetus Mountains, his body conditioned through decades to rise without hesitation. The cold stone floor of the barracks offered no comfort, yet he felt none of the complaints that softened men in other Greek cities. Around him, dozens of his brothers stirred simultaneously, their movements synchronized by years of shared existence within these austere walls. The secession, the communal mess where Spartan men lived and died together, came alive with the rustling of crimson cloaks and the clanking of bronze. No wife warmed his bed, nor children called for his attention during these early hours, for the Spartan warrior belonged first to Sparta. His family existed, dwelling in a modest home elsewhere in the city, but his true brothers surrounded him now in this military commune. The warrior rose and performed his morning ablutions with water carried from the Eurotas River that flowed through the heart of Lacedaemon. Cold water shocked his skin awake, a deliberate practice that reminded every Spartan that comfort was the enemy of excellence. He reached for his simple tunic, the fabric rough against his scarred flesh, woven by helot hands that served the Spartan state. No elaborate dyes or fine materials adorned his clothing, for ostentation was forbidden among equals. The communal latrine served its practical purpose without privacy or complaint, for Spartans had long abandoned the notion of individual modesty among warriors. What one man did, all men did, and shame existed only in cowardice or weakness. Morning prayers preceded all activities, and the warrior knelt briefly before a small shrine dedicated to the twin gods Castor and Pollux. These divine warriors represented everything a Spartan aspired to become, and their blessing was sought before each day's trials began. The barracks itself was a monument to simplicity, its walls unadorned by paintings or decorations that might distract from military purpose. Only weapons and shields hung from their designated places, each item maintained with religious devotion. Outside, the city of Sparta awakened without the bustling markets and commercial chaos that defined Athens or Corinth across the Greek world. Here, the Helots worked the fields and crafted the goods while Spartans devoted themselves entirely to the art of war. The warrior strapped his sandals tight, the leather worn smooth by countless marches across Laconian soil and foreign battlefields alike. Each strap was checked twice, for a loose sandal in combat meant certain death. His morning meal awaited in the common area, and he moved toward it with the measured pace of a man who rushed for nothing except battle. The day stretched before him like a well-worn path, every hour accounted for in the endless pursuit of martial perfection. Second, the training grounds of Agoge. The training grounds sprawled beneath the rising sun, already alive with the sounds of combat as younger Spartans began their Agoge education. The warrior watched briefly, remembering his own brutal journey through this legendary system that transformed boys into legends. He joined his age cohort on the packed earth of the gymnasium, where dust clouds rose with every movement and settled on sweating bodies. Here, no walls protected them from the elements, for a Spartan trained in heat, cold, rain, and wind without distinction. The first exercises began with running, miles of it across terrain designed to punish weakness and reward endurance. The warrior's legs moved in rhythm with his companions, their breathing synchronized like a single organism with many hearts. Wrestling followed, the ancient combat art that Spartans had perfected over generations of constant practice and refinement. Bodies collided with controlled violence, each throw and hold executed with precision that could incapacitate enemies without weapons. The warrior faced his opponent, a man he had trained beside for over 3 decades since their childhood in the Agoge. They knew each other's movements intimately, yet still found ways to challenge and improve through their daily contests. Weapons training consumed the longest portion of the morning, beginning with the dory spear that defined Spartan warfare. The 8-foot weapon became an extension of the warrior's arm, its iron tip dancing through defensive forms and killing strikes. The Xiphos short sword received equal attention, for when spears shattered against enemy shields, this blade determined survival. The warrior practiced thrusts and cuts against wooden posts wrapped in leather, each impact sending shudders through his arm. Shield work proved perhaps most essential, for the hoplon was both defense and weapon in the tight formations of hoplite warfare. The warrior learned again what his muscles already knew, that the shield protected not himself but the man beside him. Younger warriors sought guidance from veterans like him, and he demonstrated techniques with patient repetition despite speaking few words. In Sparta, action taught more than speech. An example outweighed explanation in every aspect of education. The sun climbed higher as training intensified, yet no water was offered nor breaks permitted until the trainers deemed the session complete. Thirst and exhaustion were old companions to every Spartan, enemies conquered through will rather than avoidance. Finally, the morning session concluded with ritual purification in the cold waters of the Eurotas, washing away sweat and resetting body and mind. The warrior emerged renewed, his muscles burning with the satisfying ache of purposeful exertion. Third, bread, blood, and brotherhood. The midday meal brought the warrior to his permanent seat within the Sicilian, the dining club that formed the core of Spartan social organization. 15 men comprised his mess, and missing this communal meal without valid excuse meant severe punishment or even exile. The famous black broth arrived in simple ceramic bowls, its dark liquid containing pork, blood, vinegar, and salt in proportions that other Greeks found revolting. The warrior consumed it without complaint, for this dish had nourished Spartan bodies for centuries. Barley bread accompanied the broth, dense and unrefined, providing the sustenance needed for afternoon labors without the luxury of wheat. No individual portions larger than another existed, for equality among Spartans extended even to the dinner table. Each member contributed equally to the mess from his agricultural allotments worked by helots assigned to his family estate. Failure to provide this contribution meant expulsion from the Sicilian and consequently from Spartan citizenship itself. Conversation during meals followed strict protocols, with older members speaking wisdom while younger warriors listened and learned from accumulated experience. The warriors shared observations from the morning training, noting which young men showed promise. Wine flowed moderately, always mixed with water in the Greek fashion, but Spartans practiced particular restraint compared to other Hellenes. Drunkenness was considered shameful, and helots were sometimes forced to drink excessively as negative examples for youth. The meal served purposes beyond nutrition, reinforcing bonds of brotherhood that would hold firm when shields locked in the phalanx formation. Every man at this table would die for any other without hesitation when battle demanded sacrifice. Jokes and stories passed between bites, the laconic wit of Spartans on full display in clever observations delivered with minimal words. A man who spoke too much revealed weakness of mind, while pointed brevity demonstrated intelligence and self-control. Political discussions remained forbidden at the table, preserving the Sicilian as a space of unity rather than division among citizens. Whatever disputes existed in the assembly stayed there, never poisoning the sacred fellowship of the mess. The warrior finished his meal alongside his brothers, the portions modest yet sufficient for men who viewed excess as moral failure. They rose together, clearing their spaces with the same discipline they brought to every other action. Afternoon duties awaited each man according to his current responsibilities and the needs of the state he served eternally. The warrior departed with brief acknowledgments to his messmates, knowing he would see them again when the evening meal arrived. Fourth, the assembly and duties of citizenship. The afternoon brought the warrior to the assembly grounds where Spartan citizens gathered to conduct the political business of their unique state. Here, every full citizen held equal voice regardless of wealth, a concept that baffled the aristocratic Greeks of other city-states. The Gerousia, the council of elders over 60 years old, presented matters for consideration by the assembled warriors who would vote by acclamation. The warrior listened carefully, for decisions made here affected not only Sparta but the balance of power across all Greece. Today's discussion concerned relations with neighboring Argos, the eternal enemy whose proximity demanded constant vigilance along the frontier. Scouts had reported movements that might indicate military preparations, and response options required debate. The ephors presided over proceedings with the authority granted them by annual election, their power checking even the dual kings who ruled Sparta's armies. This complex balance of power had preserved Spartan stability for generations, while other cities fell to tyrants. The warrior cast his voice with the majority when votes were called, adding his shout to the roaring approval that determined policy. Unlike Athens with its complicated voting procedures, Sparta decided matters through the simple volume of acclamation. After the assembly concluded, the warrior reported to his assigned duty, supervising Helot agricultural workers in fields beyond the city walls. These enslaved people of Messenia had served Sparta for generations, their labor freeing citizens for military pursuits. The relationship between Spartan and Helot contained layers of complexity that outsiders rarely understood or acknowledged in their simple characterizations. Fear and dependence intertwined, each group needing the other while remaining forever separated by status. The warrior watched the Helots work with neither cruelty nor kindness, simply ensuring productivity met state requirements for sustaining the military apparatus. He carried his weapons openly, a constant reminder of the power that maintained this social order. Younger Spartans undergoing the Cryptia, the secret training that concluded the Agoge, lurked somewhere in these fields hunting Helots who showed signs of leadership. This brutal practice suppressed potential rebellion while testing young warriors' abilities to kill silently. The afternoon heat bore down upon the fields as the warrior completed his supervision duties and prepared to return to the city proper. His responsibilities to the state filled every hour, leaving no time for the private pursuits that occupied men in softer civilizations. The sun began its descent toward the western mountains as the warrior walked the dusty road back toward the unwalled city that needed no fortifications. Spartan men were Sparta's walls, their bodies and courage the only defense the city required. Fifth, night falls over Lacedaemon. Evening brought the warrior back to his session for the second communal meal of the day, this gathering more relaxed than the midday assembly. Oil lamps flickered as darkness claimed the city, casting dancing shadows across weathered faces. The meal proceeded with familiar ritual, the same foods consumed with the same companions in the same sequence observed for generations. Stability and tradition anchored Spartan life, changes coming slowly if at all to this conservative society. After dinner, the warrior was permitted brief time to visit his wife and children in the family home within the city boundaries. These visits remained rare and regulated, preserving the primacy of military bonds over familial attachments. His wife managed the household with the independence that surprised visitors from other Greek cities where women remained confined and silent. Spartan women exercised, owned property, and spoke their minds with the same directness as their warrior husbands. The children slept already, his sons destined for the Agoj at age 7 and his daughter for the rigorous physical training that produced strong mothers of future warriors. He watched them briefly, these extensions of himself into Sparta's future. Conversation with his wife concerned practical matters of estate management and helot productivity, for romance played little role in Spartan marriage. Their union served the state's need for population, and affection remained subordinate to duty. The warrior departed before the night grew late, for the barracks expected his return and absence would bring questions he preferred to avoid. His sandals echoed on stone streets emptied of all but patrolling sentries. Back in the secession, younger warriors engaged in philosophical discussions that tested reasoning abilities alongside physical prowess. The warrior contributed occasionally, his years lending weight to observations about honor, courage, and the good death. Sleep came to Spartans without ceremony, bodies collapsing onto simple pallets with efficiency born of exhaustion and acceptance. No prayers for pleasant dreams were offered, for Spartans hoped only for dreams of battle glory. The warrior lay in darkness, surrounded by his brothers, their breathing creating a rhythm that had accompanied his nights for 4 decades of service. Tomorrow would bring the same routine, the same training, the same devotion to the only life he knew. Outside, stars wheeled over Lacedaemon as they had for centuries before and would for centuries after this single warrior's brief existence. He slept without dreaming, his body recovering strength for another day of living as history's most complete soldier. Thus concludes our journey through a single day in the life of a Spartan warrior, from dawn's first light to the darkness of evening rest. We have witnessed the brutal training, the sacred brotherhood, and the total dedication that created soldiers whose reputation echoes through millennia. The History Uncovered thanks you for marching beside us through ancient Lacedaemon and experiencing this extraordinary civilization. If this documentary enriched your understanding of ancient history, honor our work by leaving a like and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the History Uncovered and activate notifications to join us on future expeditions into humanity's most fascinating chapters.